My dad was very physically abusive, emotionally abusive to my mother, my brother, my sister, and I. We would get in trouble. It was always, we would get hit with a belt. My mom would get hit with a belt. I don't even remember very many, days where it wasn't chaos. My mom would leave periodically, from time to time, but she would always go back. And the one time that we left, I was about 10 years old, we went to Hopeful Horizons. I got the hotline number from a friend of hers. And that's, so she called, and in the middle of the night, my sister and I went with my mother to the women's shelter that they had. I think she got that feeling once, just to be able to get away and know that she, would be capable of getting away. But the resources back then were nothing compared to what they are now. Back then it was basically just a shelter to go to for, somebody that is trying to get out of an abusive relationship. It was definitely a relief just being out of that environment, because, it was finally like you could breathe, you could sleep in peace, Had they had the resources then that they have now, my mom probably would not have gone back, because they have legal resources, they have therapy for, my mom and for her kids. They didn't have any of that stuff back then.
You ended up sort of coming full circle, because then you needed Hopeful Horizons, or specifically your son needed Hopeful Horizons.
Right. When he was about 6 years old, was sexually assaulted by another child in the neighborhood. So he went through therapy through Hope Haven. I actually went with him, which actually kind of helped me, realize some things about myself of what I went through from going through it with him. Pain is like a splinter, and if you don't ever get that splinter out, it festers and it gets worse, and then it gets infected. So the more you talk about it, the more you heal from it. And I think that just him having somebody to talk to, talk about it as a child, because, he's 6 years old, and going ahead and getting it out and exposing it so young has helped him in his teenage years. I went through physical abuse with my father, emotional abuse from my father. I actually went through sexual abuse myself, not from my father. It was a very close family member. And just the things that they were talking with him about, things that I had already gone through that I had never gotten out, it made me realize why I was the way that I was, and that it's normal for somebody to feel the way that I felt at that time. Seeing everything that they do for other people, other children, being able to go through therapy means the world to me, because not everybody can afford, to go to therapy. Knowing that if somebody is in an abusive situation and they can get help right away, they've got so many different resources that they're able to help you. If Hopeful Horizons had been what they were today, back then, I think that my mother's life would have been 100% completely different. I didn't realize how big of an impact that they would have on my life and my son's life. Had it not been for them, I don't know where we would be. Had it not been from my son going through what he went through, and me realizing that there are resources out there, there is help out there, whether you have the money to do it or not. There is resources out there, and if it hadn't been for Hopeful Horizons, I wouldn't be who I am at all.